What's up, everybody? It's Aaron and Ray again with another episode of Franchise Tag Fantasy Football Podcast. Jordan is with us again. This might turn into a regular thing. We don't know yet. He's still in his audition period. But anyways, as always, guys, please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, share it on Facebook, on Twitter. Ray and I have both been getting a little more active on Twitter. I think Jordan has a Twitter handle somewhere around here. We'll figure it out one day if he gets the job or not. But anyways, Week 2's in the books. Today we have a Keep Trade Cut. We have Overreaction Monday and a little bit of waiver wire in case your team's a little struggling and dealt with some of the injuries this weekend. Anyways, Ray, I think you have the biggest news of all from over the weekend.
Yeah, I helped bring a human into the world.
Yeah.
He's doing great. Mom's doing great.
Good deal.
He's sleeping a lot right now. So he was born 8 pounds, 11 ounces. Big old baby.
That is a big baby.
Pretty wild to have 2 toddlers running around. Not running around, but one 2-year-old and one
Newborn
running around. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I feel that. Bilo, Jordan, how was your weekend?
Great.
Yeah.
Golf, football,
Okay.
good weekend.
Hey,
That's it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Well, Ray, I think instead of a crazy random food restaurant question, we're going to open it up. You got a keep trade cut for us?
Do I have a keep trade cut for you?
Uh-huh.
So I like the one that you actually send in the
Okay.
old chat.
All
I
right.
did like that a lot. Keep trade cut. OBJ, Robbie Anderson, Brandon Ayuk. Gotta keep one. Gotta trade one. Gotta cut one.
We all know who I've been off of all year, all off season. I got hate from it. I think Jordan's in the same boat I'm in on this one. I am keeping Ayuk just because I think that ship gets righted in San Francisco and Debo getting a lot of targets and Kittle dropping in targets, which we'll talk about later. I'm going to keep Ayuk for that reason because I think there's more upside there. I'm probably honestly cutting Robbie Anderson at this point because his draft value on draft day was a 7th or 8th round guy anyways, which is pretty getting into that flyer territory. And I'm going to try to trade OBJ strictly for name value. I get a lot of flack because I'm off OBJ, but everyone's like, he's this, he's that, he's Odell Beckham. I'm going to try to trade OBJ for the value. Jordan?
What about you, Jordan?
I'm with you on the OBJ part. Just because of his name, you could get something in return for him. That's the only reason I would trade him. If you couldn't trade him, I'd cut him. But I'm going to stick with the trade part. I'm going to keep Robbie Anderson because I believe that Sam Bradford, that offense, it's picking up a little bit. Yeah, or don't. When you're comparing both offenses, though, I'm looking at San Francisco and I'm like, Kittle's not getting the work. The quarterback play is a little iffy, and they haven't played the most talented defenses in the league. They're pretty bottom tier. So I'm going to cut Ayuk because unless they make a quarterback change, I don't see anything getting better over there.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I do think Philadelphia is a little bit better of a defense than people give them credit for, as far as the front line. But anyways, Ray, what about you?
So well, when he said Sam Bradford, I'm like, what year? Hop into a damn time machine or something? My God. I'm going to hold on to OBJ, and I think I'm the highest on OBJ in our whole league. It hurts me to know that Kevin Stefanski is just so unreliable with the news he's given. It's just ridiculous. But I'm only going to keep on the precedence that Jarvis Landry is going to be out for a few weeks, and OBJ is going to be needed on that field. Now, I think my cut candidate is definitely Ayuk. I feel like if you're that good, it doesn't matter what you do on the field. You're going to get on that field. That's it. It's going to happen, and that's how I see it. And Robbie Anderson, I'm going to try and trade him. I know that it hasn't been a great couple of weeks. I understand that. I know that it's probably been an underperformance from him, but eventually, I think those points are going to start coming in. You might be able to get a trade for him. But that's how I see it.
That's fair. 3 different opinions, or 3 varying opinions at least. So do with that as you will. Let us know in the comments who you would keep trade cut. And then we're going to...
Or your love for Sam Bradford.
Hey, that man made a lot of money in the NFL, and I don't know how.
Boy!
He's a baller.
But anyways, so you guys ready to jump into the good old overreaction Monday?
Hell yeah.
Yup.
All right, so there were a lot of games. I did notice this week, as far as the games go, they were either really close, like within 1 score, or they were just blowouts. There was like no really like in between, like, oh, you know, they could score here and then get an onside kick and then score again and be right back in it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't any of that to me. Did I miss one that was close like that?
Really, there was a lot of close games. Let's just say that. A lot of good games.
Yeah.
A lot of surprising games, too.
Before we get into overreactions, I almost forgot. Sorry. We gave you guys starts of the week last week. And Jordan was nice enough to keep stats on who we missed on. We did a total of, I did 360. We did 10 because Ray, you and Kevin both had Mike Williams as your wide receiver, who obviously was a great hit on that one.
I only sent in 2 because I was busy having a baby.
And that's understandable. So anyways, Jordan, who did we miss on?
Which gives me the what?
A miss. We are considering a miss anybody who scored less than 10 points that we called out.
Correct. So with the misses, we'll start with Ray. He said Sanders was the start of the week. He got 6 points. We have Melvin Gordon, who Kevin sent in. He got 7. Dak got 8, who Aaron sent in.
That one hurts because I was not expecting that at all. I was expecting a
No.
shootout to have a good game.
Then we have Jonathan Taylor at 5. And then
There's another one. That was me. I'm 2 for. I was
Two
1
for-
for 3 this week. I'm sorry. But my Cooper Cup wide receiver play makes up for all of it. Okay.
Yeah, I think that one helped out everybody.
To give you guys an idea of what is under 10 points, Miles Sanders in our scoring format put up 6.4 points with 13 rushing attempts for 55 yards and 1 reception for 4 yards. Clearly not a good day. And I'm sorry for Miles Sanders. I apologize. That's my bad. But if you guys picked up Mike Williams, you're welcome. Because Kevin bit my take.
Yeah, that was a good take. I think he was on all of our radars. Najee, me and Jordan, we talked about it. We almost had the same pick there, so I pivoted to Jonathan Taylor, which obviously was a bad pivot, but I was looking at what happened to the Rams' run defense from David Montgomery the week before and thought for sure there could possibly be something there. But overall, we went 6 for 10, 60%. I brought our percentage down, being, half of the ones that we got wrong, so I will do better next week.
I hope Matt.
Yeah. Kevin called the whole Raiders team, and he got it right.
That is fair. That is very fair.
They won the game.
You know what's sad about that is outside of Derek Carr, like Darren Waller went 5 for 65. That's a bad game for Darren Waller. But for any other tight end outside of Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, that's a good game. That's like what, 8.5, 9 fantasy points?
9, yeah. He got 9. I was disappointed with the 9, which I shouldn't be, but it's Waller, so
that's what I'm saying. You expect at least 13 out of him at a minimum,
right?
But it's just one of those things. So ready to jump into some overreactions? First off, first overreaction: did Julio Jones catch a touchdown or no?
I mean, in the National Football League and the statistics they have, no, he did not.
Jordan asked this question in our group chat, and we have to lead off with this. Jordan?
Man, okay. So I'm going to start out with the NFL rule. Just like Dez did not catch it because that was an NFL rule, and nobody can accept that. That is an NFL rule. He caught the ball. My biggest thing is when you have 2 toe taps in and you drag those toes out of bounds, it's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he had a whole foot in and he went toe heel, that's not a touchdown. I think if you get the 2 pieces of body parts in, a whole foot and a toe, that should be it. Make sure he goes to the ground and he catches it after that. That's fine. But I just don't like the rule.
Yeah. I don't like the rule either. Like Ray said, per the NFL rule book, it's not a touchdown. Per us as fans and wanting Julio to actually score touchdowns because he's perennially not scored touchdowns, I wanted that to be a damn touchdown. Let's be real.
We got a little breaking news right now, just to make sure that you guys are staying up to date. DeAndre will play tonight and will start tonight.
Who?
Let you guys know. DeAndre Swift.
Okay, cool. Good luck,
I just saw it
Ruben.
right now.
Good luck, Ruben.
In that groin injury, everybody knows those heal quick.
Yeah, good luck, Ruben.
I need him to play a lot after our me and Kevin's bet. So I need Jamal Williams to just stay off the field.
That is very fair.
I need 1 point from Jamal Williams to be in the clear this week. 1 point.
That is fair. That is fair. All right, so we're about 11 minutes into this episode now. We're going to have to try to book through this stuff, guys. We try to keep it as close to an hour or under as possible, but there's a lot of stuff to go over. Overreactions, Rondale Moore. How do you feel? For those of you that don't know, it's the rookie wide receiver for Arizona.
Is he the number 2? Is he? Is it AJ Green? Is AJ Green alive? Is he a thing?
No,
They got him the
that's
I
just
like Rondale Moore. I think the draft capital is there. I like if you guys went to go pick him up last week, because this week it's going to cost you a little more in fab. It's so hard to predict who it is outside of DeAndre Hopkins in that offense. You know what I mean?
Christian. Go ahead.
I think they just found exactly what they picked him up for. That's
role.
He played in college, so that's his role. The only person it's really going to affect, because it's going to be a true. I mean, he's going to be the true third option, but his role is within the Murray, the Arizona system, the Kingsbury system. So does that hurt Kirk? It's not going to hurt AJ because they want 2 big bodies on the outside.
That's going to hurt Kirk.
You got that slot guy that he was creating stuff with the ball in his hands like you hardly see. That was insane.
Yeah. Rondale Moore is better with the ball than Kirk is. That's it.
Yes, and Kirk did have some big time catches in this game, but Rondale Moore definitely outshowed him. Outshowed.
I mean, Kirk would have had a good fantasy game too had that. What was it, like a 45-yard PI down the field? If that wouldn't have happened, he would have caught that ball. That would have been about 100 yards.
Yeah.
100-yard game. Not a touchdown, but I mean, it would have been a decent game.
Yeah, and AJ Green's whole performance, and that one just bought him a few more weeks of underperforming.
Who brought that guy?
He gets to cash that paycheck and hang out a couple more weeks before people start to question why he's actually there.
Don't pick up AJ Green, guys. Not yet. Don't do it. Don't be silly. Don't do it.
So Mike Williams, do you think we can see this going forward for the rest of the season?
I'm really liking Mike Williams right now. I'm really liking the amount of volume he's getting. I like the fact, not necessarily, I shouldn't say that. I don't like the fact that Austin Eckler is getting banged up, but it does help Mike Williams' case more and more every week.
He's not going to get the work like he did this last week.
He has 22 receptions in 2 weeks.
Right. He's gonna be a viable fantasy option going forward because you can clearly tell Herbert is looking for him. He is looking for him. But where he's gonna go down is the defensive DBs, like the Diggs and the Ramseys and all those guys. The more the Chargers will play the Chiefs or the Raiders, you're going to see Keenan Allen get a lot more involved and Mike Williams kind of come down a little bit. But I still see him as I mean, it's there. They're not going to the tight end like I thought they would.
You think new weekly flex play?
I want to say, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. I want to say he's a mid-tier receiver 2 right now. And I would put my stake in that going forward.
Rest of season ranking?
Yes.
Okay. Below rest of season ranking on Mike Williams?
Rest of the season, if we're talking next week, in the next couple weeks, he's got a hot hand right now. But if we're talking the full season and I had to concrete him somewhere, I'm going to put him in the flex.
In the flex, so somewhere between wide receiver 25 and 30. What is that? 36.
Yeah, right in that range. That's perfect.
with some real upside as well, correct?
Yeah. He's going to give
Right.
you those big boom games, but he also might, like Jordan was saying, disappear. Okay. This one's going to take a lot to get through because I want to talk about it. There's 4 players from the Cowboys that I want to talk about here. Let's start with the backfield in Zeke and Tony Pollard.
My favorite.
I could have saved it for last, but I'm being honest.
I'm sorry. I said 60-40. It was almost like Pollard had a hotter hand, and he looked like the better running back.
And he's a lot faster, a lot
He's
more,
fast.
a lot more elusive.
So Zeke was in, to put it in perspective, Zeke was in 72% of snaps and Pollard was in like 34% of snaps. So with the math, obviously that overlaps just a little bit, but they were both on the field at the same time during some plays. And Pollard's touchdown was on like a trickery style play where Zeke was still on the field with him at the same time. But yes, Pollard looked way more efficient, way more explosive, got to the edge quicker, was hitting holes, was picking up chunk plays. Like he looked good. But Zeke did fall in the end zone, to be fair.
Yeah, barely. But
I can honestly say that if you got Pollard, he might be worth the flex in that spot. He might be worth starting because
He quadrupled Alvin Kamara's points this week.
he looks like he's got the juice.
Yeah.
Whereas Zeke does not look like he has a drop left. I didn't see it. The one play that really rang out to me, maybe this is going too far into it, but Zeke and that, what was it, like a dump off pass that he had one tackler to beat. It was a corner that he had to beat to get a first down. He couldn't do it.
week 1.
Yeah.
It was this week too. It happened again this week.
He's not the old Zeke.
No, that's what I'm trying.
He's had the whole 5 years of the workhorse back production, and I think it's finally we're starting to see it catch up to him.
300 touches a season.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zeke had 16 rushes. Pollard had 13. So when I'm talking 50-50, that's kind of where I'm going. Is what kind of work are you getting in? Whereas Zeke can be kind of like a dummy. Oh, they could run the ball with Zeke. His name is still a big name, and they've got to look out for him. It's not like he just disappeared. But
I think the Cowboys think that they have a legitimate chance to go deep into the playoffs with this offense, that they're going to try to keep them both throughout the season, utilize both of them to keep them both fresh for if they make the playoffs.
Now, to give you guys Zeke's actual statistics this game, he was 16 rushing attempts for 71 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 targets, 1 reception, 26 yards.
Not a bad stat line, even if you take away the one of the touchdowns. But that only puts him at roughly right around 10 points if he doesn't score any touchdown. So
yeah, and the thing that really stands out to me in that stat line is the fact that he had 16 rushes, whereas like 2 seasons ago he would have had 26 attempts, 25 attempts. You know what I mean? Like that's where I was trying to get at. His volume has come down considerably, while Tony Pollard's is only going up.
Yeah.
So just something to really monitor.
So with your statistics on roughly a 60-odd% and 30-odd%, you got Zeke touching the ball 18 times. Pollard got it 16. So out of his 30-some-odd%, he touched the ball 16 times. You expect him to get the ball now.
Tony Pollard?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I expected to split. I'm 50-50 at this point.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know who to pick. At this point, I really don't. But Pollard looks better. Last year, he ate into Zeke's numbers.
He did.
And me and Aaron have gone over it before many times. Mike McCarthy loves using 2 backs. He loves it. He needs it in his life like he needs like a baby back rib. He needs that in his life.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy is also the same dude that would put James Starks in at goal line situations when he had Eddie Lacy. So you never know. Even he went with the hot hand, I think, towards the end. Pollard got a lot more work. So maybe that's what we'll see him do from here on out. But I don't see Pollard pulling off.
I think Pollard is, dependent upon roster construction, could be considered and looked at as a weekly flex play in a 12-person league or bigger.
Oh, yeah, I would say. 12-person league, you need to be put him in your flex because most likely you don't have enough depth to cover what he can put up. His ceiling.
That went on a little bit longer. But now I want to talk about Dak. Dak to me is still a top 6 or 7 finisher this year. It was just a one-off game where certain stuff didn't quite break their way. They had three touchdowns on the ground in this game. 2 rushing to Zeke, 1 rushing to Pollard. They didn't need to throw any touchdowns through the air. You know what I mean? So everybody in agreement with that one?
Yeah, I can say
Just an
I can say
outlier.
it does. Yeah, I think it's an outlier, and I do think that you might want to temper your expectations on what Dak's full season is going to be, because it looked like what is working in Mike McCarthy's offense is what he's going to stick with. So just keep that in your back pocket. I think it is an outlier, though.
Last week the pass worked, so he stuck with the pass. This
That's
week the run worked, so he stuck with the run. Got it. And then I want to bring up last player from this game, unless you guys have any other ones. I want to bring up Amari Cooper. He had 3.9 points. He's bruised his ribs like Tua did apparently, but he just disappeared this game. Was it strict? You think, guys, it's strictly because the run was working so well, and when they didn't get to throw the ball, they went to CD, who looks to be like he's 1A now in the offense after this week, even though last week it was Amari was 1A. Like
flip flop, and
You'll
I
see.
think, I think it was more game scripted. What it was than was anything else.
Yeah, you'll see that all year where they're both going to just split. One guy's going to have a big game, the other guy's not going to have a big game. But in the end of the year, it's going to equal out being both are going to be a top 30 wide receiver. But when you have weak rush defenses, it's going to be the Cowboys are going to run the ball.
That's fair.
That's what they are known for. They've got 2 capable backs. Why risk anything else? If the run's working, they're going to stick with it.
Yeah.
That is fair. All right. I want to talk about the entire Carolina Panthers defense. Are they for real or are they not for real?
I don't think they're for real. I don't think so.
Matt Rule was a defensive coach in college. That's what he made his bread and butter on, was building up defenses and then working on offenses later. Last year in the draft, they did not take one offensive player. They took nothing but defensive players in Carolina. And then this year they started taking some offensive players. So could we see a turnaround, middle of the pack defense? What do you guys think?
I want to
I'll get middle of the pack for me. They'll have good games like they just did. I figured that the Saints, when they came out hot against Green Bay, your head gets into a big bubble. You're the biggest man on campus. You're walking around with a big ego. Then you come out not prepared, kind of get smacked in the mouth. So I feel like that's what we saw this last week.
That's a perfect segue. I appreciate you, because I wanted to go straight into the Saints offense after this one to get this game out of the way. Jameis Winston, you think it's more of a Saints issue? I mean, they did it week 1 too. They had a good defensive scheme week 1. But Jameis Winston, week 1, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Week 2, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Does he need to have LASIK again? Like, what's going on?
I think he needs to have Michael Thomas. That's what I think.
Yeah. You think what? They have no pass catchers there. And
I think Michael Thomas is bad. I'm
specifically worried about Alvin Kamara. The dude had like 8 rush attempts or something like that. I'll have to look it up. But he was... How is Alvin Kamara getting game scripted out?
That's weird. Really confusing to me. I would have assumed that because they didn't have any pass catchers, that Alvin Kamara was just going to be, but just overused at that point.
You wanna know his stat lines?
Sure, go ahead.
8 rush attempts for 5 yards, 6 targets, 4 receptions, 25 yards. 4 for 25 through the air is not bad, but why are you letting your clear-cut number 1 best offensive player on the field right now get game scripted out is my honest question.
No, I don't have an answer for that.
Because people like me in this situation, where I drafted him at 2 overall in our keeper league draft, and most people were getting him at either 3 or 4. That's a lot of draft capital for someone to go, running back. What did he finish like? Running back 13 or something week 1 with 16 points and half-point formats, and currently sitting at running back like 96 with 5 points this week.
Yeah.
I do think it's an outlier again. They're going to figure it out.
Personally,
I don't know, man.
So personally, when you go back and you look at his tape from Tampa Bay, he loved the 20 yards and overthrow. How many times do you see him check down? Unless he was in a big emergency, It's not like he went over and just checked down right over his shoulder, and then that was the plan.
He hit a lot of tight ends last week though, on checkdowns and short intermediate routes.
But
So did he revert? We're talking about James, by the way, now. Uh-oh. But did he revert or?
You're talking about against the Packers?
Yeah.
I think that was a week one blunder. They had a game plan, right? Sorry, I got this.
I'm about to mute you guys real quick. So I had to mute Jordan, but we should be good now. Good
to go.
Cool.
Yeah, I got ads playing in my background. Don't know what happened. So, anyways, I think the Jameis Winston week one thing, everything was working against the Packers team that wasn't prepared. He came in with a whole offseason game script for what he was going to do. Week one, he's going to show the Saints that I'm the man. I can do my checkdowns. Week two, he came out. He thought everything would work. I don't know what happened, but he went back to the old Jameis. So,
all right.
Week three.
Ray, let me ask you this question: is Kamara a buy low target now after 2 weeks of kind of?
That's what I was going to bring up.
Kind of
medium performing. As an Alvin Kamara owner here in front of me, how much is the tilt right now?
Yes, sir. The tilt. So the tilt through the first 2 weeks of football for me, for my three running backs who happen to be Kamara, Aaron Jones, and Antonio Gibson, is pretty extreme for me right now. Because you come out in week one, you're expecting, at least 15 points from Jones and Kamara, and at least, 12 from Gibson. Don't get it from anybody but Kamara. This week, you're expecting, this is a weak Carolina defense with what we saw in the offense last week. Kamara's probably going to get his pretty quick, hit his 20-point floor that he's about to have and then get off the field. Like, it's very disheartening, but at the same time, if you're in a home league, you can probably get them for cheap. If you're in a league like our league where people know what they're doing and they pay attention and they keep up with fantasy football, you're not getting them on super cheap. You're still giving up some capital after the dud of a week.
Get another stinker next week?
Price will probably drive down just a little bit.
I think it drops down a lot more.
I don't think so because you still know where the ceiling is. I don't think it plummets. You're crazy. The price on Zeke is dropping.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next week.
So, let me ask you this, Jordan. So, Ray says it plummets, but you have a viable top 10 running back in Alvin Kamara as of right now with a 1 week bust. If he doesn't necessarily finish in the top 10 next week, but still finishes in the top 24, that's still going to cost you some capital to go get, right? Because you know what his ceiling is. His floor just might now be running back 14 at this point on the season. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's all about how they're using them. With their situation, it's just time. Can you hold out and just hope that in the next couple weeks that they start using them? So him and Jameis need to connect. One, they're going to have to get him the ball to win games. He's a big name. He has nobody behind him to even worry about it. Unlike Zeke, who has Pollard now.
Nah, watch out for Tony Jones Jr.
So what?
So watch out for Tony Jones Jr.
He cutting into his stuff. Kamara will be on that field 80% of the time.
Yeah,
he's a big too. I mean,
I think Sean Payton's smart enough that he realizes that he could run Tony Jones Jr. at the running back and Alvin Kamara out of the slot, and the Saints offense would be a lot better.
I think he knows how he's going to win games. I'm not saying Jones Jr. is not a bad running back.
No, I'm just saying. All right. So, anyways, Ray, to your point, I love you, but trade value doesn't plummet completely, even if he doesn't have a great game next week. I want to get into this one because I've had so many people go in this season that they're never drafting this player again, and it's one of Ray's favorite running backs. He plays for the Cincinnati Bengals, and it is Joe Mixon. How do you feel about Joe Mixon?
Like I've always felt. I think he's an overrated player. I don't think he's very good. I think he's injury prone. I think his offense sucks. His offensive line sucks. And his coaching staff sucks. So that's how I feel about Joe Mixon.
So the Bengals just completely are buns?
I don't particularly care for any sort of Bengals options at all right now.
Oh yeah, because he got burnt on Tyler Boyd. So, anyways, we'll get into this discussion. We'll get into this discussion with level heads. I know you're a little sleep deprived, so we'll let this one slide a little bit. So Joe Mixon had 20 touches again, 20 rushing attempts for 80 yards. Yeah, you say the Bengals offensive line isn't bad, but dude is getting the rock a lot through 2 weeks of the season. And as you've seen, the last 2 weeks, the ball got spread around a lot more this week because your boy Tyler Boyd, I believe, had 7 receptions for like 60 yards, somewhere around those lines. Number check me if you want. But then T. Higgins also had quite a bit of love. I think he had like 6 receptions, and then Jamar Chase had 4 still. It's still quite a bit of passing work going around too. So their offense is actually moving the ball.
Yeah, offense.
Joe Mixon gets hurt. How many weeks?
What's up?
How many weeks is it until Joe Mixon gets hurt?
Hopefully,
I'll put a bet on it right now.
Hopefully not at all, because I don't ever want to bet on a player getting hurt because that just sucks for them.
By week 6, I bet he's on IR.
Ray's a Debbie Downer.
Jesus Christ. Reaching back into the past, every season he's ever played, he's just finished on the IR.
Well, it's not finished. He's been on the IR, but he's also finished the season extremely strong. I can't remember. It might have been last year, but no, 2 years ago. Sorry, where he just went nuclear the last 3 or 4 weeks. You're talking about a guy that has a quarterback now, and he didn't get a full season in. You got a rookie wide receiver, a known wide receiver. He's got a bad offensive line, but he's done work with bad offensive lines. He's in 96% of snaps, I think, is what they have him in right now. Any guy that's going to get the work like that, I'm going to leave him in. I'm going to trust that he's going to continue. But as far as that IR spot, woof, that is mean.
Serious spit the truth, guys. Serious spit the truth.
Okay, I want to stay on the Cincinnati side of the ball. Then I think Joe Mixon's good value for where you got him and drafts him for so far through 2 weeks, having over 40 touches of the football. That's on a good pace. They might dial it back a little bit to raise concern for injury stuff, but hopefully he does not get injured. I want to talk about Jamar Chase. I am still not completely on fire for Jamar Chase. I think if you have him right now would be a great sell high time, or if you want to hold on for another week and see, go for it. But the first week he put up 2 for 57 or 51 in a touchdown with a long bomb touchdown. Or it might have been 2 for, I'd have to look. But anyways, he had a 51-yard touchdown catch in the first game with only 2 receptions. This game, he had 4 receptions for 54 yards, which not very good, but he got another tutter. So therefore that pumps the numbers up. He's not going to get a touchdown every week of the season. I'm sorry. It's the likelihood of that happening are slim to none. So I am trying to sell high while the value of where you drafted him is still really, really way up there.
I'd agree. Why I would agree is because that's 3.5 receptions a game. When you really look at that and you take away those bonus touchdowns, the 3.5 receptions a game is going to get you a very big floor. So I don't trust to start that guy at my flex spot. I mean, somebody's gonna want him. They're gonna, hey, this guy's got a lot of points. I'm gonna go get him. And if you package him with somebody else, you could get a pretty decent name player.
Right.
I would try to trade him. Right
you
now.
would try to trade him?
Yeah, I'd try and trade Jamar Chase right now to either the biggest LSU fan that you had in your league that you knew about, or somebody that was desperate for receivers. One of the two.
What about a Bengals fan?
You can find one, sure.
Yeah. That's
in 31 years I've been alive, I've known one.
Same.
Again, just spitting truth. I don't know.
All right, Ray. I want to save the one player that I know we talked about that you said is a smash from now on to the very last one. He's the last person I want to talk about. So we're going to go bang bang with these two. Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr. Jonathan Taylor had a down game. Is that just because the Rams run defense?
I'd say so.
You think so? You think they got it right for week 2?
I think that the Colts coaching staff got it right. I think Jonathan Taylor didn't get it right, but the coaching staff got it right. That was the right way to attack the Rams, and that was a hell of a game.
Yeah.
I thought that was the perfect way to attack him.
Yep. I would agree. Jordan?
Anybody that plays the Rams defense this year, good luck. Montgomery, special talent. I think he got away with a few runs, but we're going to see a lot more of the Jonathan Taylor situations going forward playing the Rams than anything. That's a very good defense.
That is pretty much from top to
Before we
bottom.
move on to another team, do you want to talk about Zach Pascale real fast?
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about Michael Pittman Jr. and Zach Pascale. So to knock out the Zach Pascale for me, I'm kind of putting it in the Jamar Chase terms that we just talked about. He hasn't had very many receptions, hasn't had very many yards, but he's been fortunate enough to score in both games this season so far. Ray?
Put him a tick above Jamar Chase because he doesn't have the options around him that Jamar Chase does. So I think that eventually that you might see an uptick on the receptions as well.
I think go ahead.
Where I think that like you have T. Higgins, you have Tyler Boyd, and you have Jamar Chase.
I think Michael Pittman Jr. is now going to take that T. Higgins style role.
Oh, really?
I do.
Is Carson Wentz hurt?
He sprained both of his ankles, apparently.
This
is all dependent upon Carson Wentz, too, if I'm going to try to acquire these guys or go out there. Yeah. I mean, because if he sprained both ankles and they both happen to be high ankle sprains, good luck seeing him by week 12.
Man, Carson Wentz is like a walking Band-Aid.
Yo, this dude just giving up his body for everything.
Destroyed.
Oh, dude.
He got destroyed.
Oh, yeah, he did. No question.
Every snap, he was fearing for his life.
I mean, you got Aaron Donald on the other side.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true. And then also, you got to worry about where you throw the ball because Jalen Ramsey's there. Like you said, that defense is just
stupid.
Oh, man.
Stupid.
Oh, man.
Pascal's going to be a weekly flyer, though, depending on the injuries.
I thought you were going to say
No. Like DraftKings. I put him in DraftKings. I knew the injury situation. He was very cheap, so I threw him in there. Other than that, I'm not going to, unless I'm in a very deep league, I'm not going to even really put him on my bench because he's going to be at the floor more than he's going to be at the ceiling.
I
agree.
16-man leagues, guys that we have listening, that he might be a guy to go target if he's not already taken. And for sure, DraftKings situations, if you're like at the end of your lineup and you really like what you got, Zach Pascale's out there, and I think he'd be worse.
You probably could.
38
because
yes,
there's
a wide receiver one in that depot league. My goodness!
But there is that every week. You've seen it now through the first 2 weeks. There is that every week potential for Zach Pascale to get a short touchdown reception. They're not going to Mo Alley Cox. They're not going to Jack Doyle. But Michael Pittman, 12 targets, 8 receptions, 123 yards. You can see why I kind of said he might be taking that T. Higgins rollover. So with that, I'd assume that pending Carson Wentz, I'd assume that would probably stay pretty much the same because those two have turned into the only two pass catchers, and Pittman Jr. is going to fill that T.Y. Hilton role where they're going to take the deep shots with him.
I can agree.
Okay.
I like the 12 target number. That 12 target number over anything else is what you want.
Just by sheer volume alone, they're going to get him there with that number. Next up, or anything else? Sorry.
That's it.
Nope. Next up, Miles the Gas Man Gaskin. He was a bust this week. I mean, granted, the whole entire Dolphins offense got blown out. You think that's just because they got blown out that he wasn't that good, or you think that this is really one of those things that fantasy players should start to worry about this year if they drafted him?
Yeah,
go ahead. I fully expected this to be the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
I did not expect week 1 to be the Miami Dolphins. Now, this is what I expect. I expect that going forward. Obviously, he's going to get some kind of touchdowns. The Miami Dolphins are not good. And you normally don't want fantasy players on very bad teams.
But everyone was thinking that he was going to be the play because of volume. But week 1, 9 rushing attempts on 5 targets for 5 receptions. Like week 2, obviously 5 rushing attempts with 5 targets with 4 receptions. Like that's sub 10, well, sub 20 touches a game.
They were getting blown out early in this game. I know because for whatever reason, Red Zone just wanted me to watch that game. But
I just think it was the only thing on, apparently.
Oh, dumb. But Tua going down, that ain't going to help him. Even though Tua wasn't anything good, it's not going to help him.
Nope.
And Myles Gaskin is almost cuttable at this point. Almost.
Tua just needs hope.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that is the biggest thing. That Miami offense does not look very good. But you drafted Gaskins in what, the 6th round? You did say that.
Maybe 6th. I've been preaching it forever.
Yeah, so I think at that point in time, if you can find a better running back, you should probably get rid of your roster clog.
The thing I would like to say is that if you can't find something better on the waiver wire, it might be worth holding on to Gaskin for a couple more weeks, see what happens. But if you got something out there, if something else out there is nice, we're going to talk about some waiver wire additions later. Might want to make that move, but he's a starting running back in the NFL, and those are real hard to come by. So it's just it's a sticky pickle is what it is.
Agreed.
Wait until he gets that 2 touchdown 50-yard game.
And then ship him out.
For real, ship him out. If you have, I mean, if you're like, for example, Chris Carson, if you're down on Chris Carson and you didn't like what you had in the draft, he just had a 2 touchdown game. Get rid of him for a little bit better upgrade, because people are gonna be like, man, he just scored 2 touchdowns. He was really involved in that offense. So
some people like Kevin that was on the show goes 0 RB, and they're sitting there trying to stream their RBs all year, and all of a sudden this guy's got 15, 16 points. Swap him for a wide receiver.
Agreed. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about George Kittle. 2 weeks of the season, 2 sub 10-point games and half-point formats.
I feel bad for the person that has George Kittle in our league. I don't feel bad for him at all. Not at all.
So
not even the slightest.
Do we think the ship gets righted in the next couple weeks? Do we you're not getting
rid of Kittle at all? No way, shape, or form are you trying to move.
That's what I'm saying. But at this point in time, are you looking to try to maybe possibly stream tight ends till he gets back right? Like, what are we talking here?
Is there a better option on the tight end waiver landscape?
Are you going to go out and try to get Gronkowski? 4 touchdowns through 2 games.
If he ain't already gone, then yes, go do that. But
that's what I mean. I'm talking about trade for Gronkowski.
No, I'm not.
If you try to trade Kittle right now, you're trading him low.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
He's going to have good games eventually, but I'm telling you, Garoppolo is not it. He's not going to get him the 15 points every single week like he was getting before. That offense just looks completely different. It's been 2 years since they've been together. So
I don't
That's what I'm saying, though. But what do you do in the meantime when you spent a late second, early third round on a tight end that has taken up good value that hasn't performed yet? Do you keep him in your lineup and just hope that he beats the other tight ends outside of Kelsey and Waller? Or do you try to pick up a streaming option?
No, you do not try and pick up a streaming option. You spent too much to get George Kittle. There's nothing going to be on the waiver wire that's going to be worth anything close to what George Kittle can offer you. So I'm putting George Kittle in, period.
Okay, just auto start no matter what.
Yeah.
I personally say throw out the draft. His name's George Kittle, right? I don't care what I spin on him. He's on my roster. He has a way higher ceiling than anybody else on the waiver wire right now. Start him. Wait until he's going to pick up. He did just come off of a pretty big injury.
Listen,
his quarterback's not that great.
Listen, I know this. You know this, but for the people watching at home, what if they have these questions? That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm trying to get legit answers.
But you didn't say Ray knows this.
I'm an investigative reporter right now, okay? But anyways, no, I do agree with both of you guys that there's nothing better on the waiver wire, but people are going to ask, well, what about this guy who just scored a touchdown last week or George Kittle who hasn't done anything? There's that casual fan that doesn't really watch football like we do, that just likes fantasy to hang out with people.
What are you saying?
What's that?
I got too aggressive?
No.
Okay.
I think I've been on the aggressive side today.
A little bit. Ray's a little sleep deprived.
Hey, so just to reiterate the fact, just stick around with George Kittle.
Yep.
Trey Lance is going to come in eventually, and then everything's going to be perfect for you. I promise.
Yep, there we go. We're back on the ship. All right, we got to keep cutting through these. I know this is a lot of people. We're at 44 minutes right now. Gonna quick fire these. CEH.
Hang on.
You got to hang on to him. He's still the Kansas City
on.
lead back. He doesn't look that good, but at the same time, he's not the focal point of the offense. The thing that makes the good backs good are that they are not game scripted out, which is why I had the question about Alvin Kamara earlier. But he's a weekly flex play for me at this point. You know, if you get 10 to 12 points out of him a week, you're lucky. That's how I'm thinking about it now, going in the rest of the season.
You're shipping him, Jordan? You're trying to cut him? Or are you cutting him right now?
Or are you trading for name?
You're trading him for what?
Or are you trading him strictly based upon name and offense that he's part of?
You can do that. It's not like Williams back in 2018. Williams was getting very good points. He was a 15-point running back. This guy can't do it, and he had a lot of hype, and he was a first-round pick. He's getting 8 points week 1, 2 points week 2. He's not getting a whole lot of volume, and he fumbled the ball in the most important part of the game, which is going to lose trust within the coaches. You probably won't see him having the ball. He has another running back that doesn't fumble.
Yep.
I say hold on for one more week.
I say hold on for a while.
Yeah, I don't like him. I do not like him.
I took him in the third round and like the 302 in one of my drafts as my third running back, and I was like, oh yeah, I got a good value here, and he's really Aaron Jones in me right now.
Yeah, you don't want an Aaron Jones.
Alvin Kamara, he's really Alvin Kamara in me. I hope Aaron Jones is not Aaron Jones me tonight. You're correct. And then last one I want to talk about. We brought him up on the starts of the week or whatever. We're talking about the Ravens. Is Marquis Hollywood Brown. Ray did mention that this man could potentially be a flex play for the rest of the season. I don't know if it's because he had both of his girlfriends in the stands last night or what was going on. But yeah, it's all over Twitter.
Loves him.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they sitting together?
I don't know. But anyways, that's besides the point. Fantasy football is steered back this way. Lamar does seem to favor him and Mark Andrews and only those two. I mean, to be fair, he does throw it to Sammy Watkins, but those are for more, hey, I need this first down. Please save me.
For drop passes. He throws the ball to Sammy Watkins for drop passes because he needs that statistic higher. So
so he can blame it on his receivers?
He just needs to have like drop passes in the category. So he's just like, oh, well, I can just throw to Sammy Watkins. He's going to drop it. And that
would be higher if he didn't drop it.
Yeah, he doesn't he don't want to look too good.
To be fair, you might be right. Through 2 weeks, Sammy Watkins has 15 targets and 8 receptions.
I mean,
how many are drops though?
That's fair.
8.
That is a good point.
That's what I want to know.
That math doesn't even add up on that 8.
Yeah, it doesn't add up at all. It doesn't add up at all. No. But anyways, let's talk about Hollywood.
Marquise Brown is running a lot more routes than I think I ever saw him run, like, let's say, last season. The season before that, he was a go guy. Now, you're seeing him in the middle of the field. You're seeing him in jet motion plays and stuff like that. I think going forward, he might get hurt. He's got that injury title to him. So you got to really monitor that kind of stuff. But, man, Lamar likes it a lot.
The one that stood out to me that really made me last night opened my eyes to about him doing like the jet motions and running across the middle of the field, not just being the outside go receiver, was on that 2-point conversion that they ultimately called back for the lineman getting shucked. And then they called him illegally downfield. But for that 2-point conversion where he jet motioned all the way across the field and ran that shallow little drag right across the goal line and was wide open and made the catch. And then the other one where later in the game, Lamar threw into double coverage into the end zone where Tyrann Mathieu about picked that one off and you thought Marquise was going to get his head taken off in the end zone for a touchdown. But Jordan, how do you feel about Hollywood going forward?
I'm good with the flex because even without the touchdowns, you're still getting 10 points, 13 points out of them. And that's really solid flex. They don't have any other viable options, to tell you the truth. The tight end's going to get his, and the wide receiver is going to get his. Which wide receiver? It's not going to be Sammy Watkins.
Nope.
It's going to be Hollywood.
I'm waiting for Mark Andrews to get his. I'm still waiting.
Eventually. Give it
Yeah.
a couple weeks.
When I don't need it, that's when it happens.
I think, what was it? I think the stat, Rashad Bateman, the rookie wide receiver they drafted, that Ray was really high on in the offseason. I was pretty high on him too. He looked really good. He should be back, I think, been ready to play by week 6 was the stat I saw.
He's on IR, yeah.
Yeah, so once he comes back, I think that they do actually have a viable receiving core to include Mark Andrews in that at that point in time, where they won't be as one-dimensional as they are. We saw against the Raiders on Monday, all they did was want to run the ball. And then last night when they needed to, they still ran the ball, but they also could throw the ball fairly effectively. And Marquise Brown being the leader for that reason.
As long as they are creative with that guy, he is going to be really good. If they
agree. I would agree. Yeah. He's a product of Oklahoma, so I got to see a lot of him through college too. So,
there's his one.
But is there any more for overreactions? I know there's one player I specifically left off the list to not talk about because I want to talk about it as a waiver wire guy. So, do you have anything else?
That's it. That's all I got.
All right, we're going to go into waiver wire pickups right now, and I'm going to start it off with the Heat. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that if Cordero Patterson is on your waiver wire, you need to be at least looking to pick him up if you definitely need it. If you're someone who went 0 RB, like Jordan was saying, where you're going to need that help, he looks way better than Mike Davis, and he's been a position change player, and I think that they are going to use him in creative ways in this offense from now on because it actually did move the ball, and Atlanta was in that game up until Matt Ryan threw back-to-back pick sixes.
Yeah, I can see Cordell Patterson. That's something that if you wanted to know, I just put a waiver claim in for him right now. That price is just going to keep going up. So,
same. I hate bringing it up because all you do is drive up Fab.
That's all you do. Every time that you mention his name, think about it in your head, that price just went up. Every time. Cha-ching, every time. So, to piggyback off of that, how do you feel about Mike Davis? Do you think that Cordell Patterson could take that role? Just want to ask you.
Not the whole role, but it'll be a more 50-50 than what it has been.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Okay.
Jordan?
You got to look at week 1. It was Mike Davis's role.
That's what I'm saying.
Was Mike Davis. I put Mike Davis because I have him from the flex into the bench because I did not trust his role. And Cordell Patterson proved that. I also don't think it's going to be a lot of fab or shouldn't be a lot of fab for Cordell because you don't know what the role is going to be going forward.
I agree. You
said Cordell?
Cordero.
Cordero Stewart.
Stop.
Cordell Stewart.
Stop. Anyways, so percentage fab wise, what would you be willing to spend, Jordan? 7%.
Yeah, if I'm out of 100, I'm going 8 or 9. If I'm a realistic person.
Okay. So for people who don't know Fab, free agency acquisition budget, you get $100 to start the season. So when we talk about percentages out of your Fab, we're talking about percentages normally out of 100 as the season goes along. Say if I say 15%, but it's 15% out of 75, it's going to be a little bit more money than 15% out of 100, just so people understand. But Ray, how much Fab would you spend on Cordero?
Said it again, right?
Stop.
I don't know if you're desperate for running back, if you're desperate in the position. Highest I would go is 12%.
12?
Highest I would go.
Too much risk.
That's
kind of
too.
That's kind of where I was. I was somewhere between, I think, probably 8 and 10 would be where I would go. But as you know, with Fab, you never really want to bet 5, 10, 15, 20. You always want to bet 17, 7, something like that. So you might be able to beat someone by $1.
What, you said his name again?
The secrets. No, I did not say Cordero Patterson. Anyways.
People like Ray that will overspend, you have to know who they are. So I 17, 18.
We covered all this last week about how about how you just basically have to be able to be willing to spend whatever you're okay with actually losing. So by losing, I mean, if you got that player, are you cool with, 26 fab? Are you cool with not having 26 fab for that player to be on your roster? So, but anyways, next up, anyone got another waiver guy?
I got another one. So I mentioned it last week. I'm going to bring it up again. If you are streaming quarterbacks, if you got one that you just don't particularly care for on your team, Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Two Gloves, is giving you points. He's a viable streaming option.
I agree, because I had another league where I had drafted Trey Lance and Big Ben. Big Ben did not perform. I was also high on the streaming candidacy of Teddy Bridgewater this week as well, and I played him, and it worked out for me.
Thanks, Franchise Tag Fantasy Football Podcast. I appreciate you.
Don't worry, your advertisement check will come in the mail.
Is it coming by Cordell Patterson check?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyways, Jordan, do you have one?
Mail. All right. So, yeah, I like Teddy. He's going to be a matchup dependent, and your QB is on a bye week.
For
12 to 15 ranked a year. He's going to be great. He always has been a good quarterback.
For a 2-quarterback league, I would say he would be a pretty comfortable second starting quarterback for you in that league.
I would be very excited.
Yeah. And also, Derek Carr. But do you have another waiver wire guy?
No, I'm going to let Jordan take the next one.
Yep.
No.
You don't have anyone on the waiver wires.
You have nothing?
I mean, who's there? No, I'm saying who would I pick up right now? The week 2 waiver wire is so.
The week 2 waiver wire is dead. There's not very many people. So you want me to give you a quick synopsis of who I think you should be targeting on the waiver wire, team dependent? You should be targeting Cordell Patterson. You should be targeting Teddy Bridgewater for a streaming option. You should be targeting Derek Carr for a streaming option. You should also be targeting either Michael Pittman Jr. if he's there, or Zach Pascale. These are all roster dependent, and I'm not saying go out and blow 30 fab on Zach Pascale because he has 4 receiving touchdowns so far this year. I'm saying manage your budget, and I would not spend more than like $5. Oh, also Rondell Moore if he's still on there, because I know he might still be on a few people's waiver wires. That would be the number 1 wide receiver pickup for me.
Yeah, the only reason I'm not big on these guys, because it's 1 week, they have decent weeks, right? Like, give a guy like Teddy Bridgewater. Nobody right now should be in an absolute need for quarterback unless you're relying on Carson Wentz. So I put $1 or $2 in if I really want that backup quarterback. My bye week's coming up. I pre-plan 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, and I just stash them away. I'm not spending any more than that. Maybe even wait and hope that the week just passes and the waiver wire passes. So me personally this week, other than I'll take a good look at Cordell Patterson. Other than that, I'm probably waiting to see who clears with 0 fab.
That is fair. That's a fair point.
It's a good move. And I want to bring up one more name is this the last one we got, right?
Yes.
It? All right. I got one more name. I want you guys to make sure you're watching Quintez Cephas tonight. I want to see what it is.
That's fair.
Because he's the only guy in the receiving room, literally. It's just him and the receivers coach, and that's it. And I think Jamal
I agree. I would also bring up that made me think that through week 1, MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling for the Packers, I would watch him tonight as well. He had 22% target share in the loss to the Saints. I just want to see, because us as Packer fans have seen it the last, 3 years now, where he'll make some really good catches, but then all of a sudden he just drops an easy 40-yard over-the-top touchdown catch. So I would say just watch him, kind of, not necessarily to see how productive they are tonight, because they might get up quick, but to just watch the target share percentage for him.
You want to make a over/under on Cephas yardage?
Ooh. What do you got?
Jordan's betting twice on the dang Lions.
What do you got? I'd put it at 50.
That's where I was leaning. I was leaning 52. So
over/under.
Over on 52.
Ray's got over on 52.
What are we betting?
Beer bet.
It's going to be a beer bet. And it's going to be a beer bet.
Got you a 6er if he gets under 52.
If he gets
52.
under.
52.5. I take 52 and under.
Okay, and then Ray takes 53 and over.
Right.
Write it down.
Ray's always writing this stuff down.
He is. He's always got it. So the three of us are the core of the friends who go to Green Bay every year for a Packers game. So anytime that we have any bets that have lasted throughout the year, that's where we normally pay off all of our beer bets.
They will last 1 year or more.
So this year, one of these two gentlemen are getting the beer bet all video. I'll record it. We'll do a Facebook, or not Facebook Live, but a YouTube Live, so we can watch all the beer bets that we make between now and then paid off in Green Bay. But anyways, Ray will be drunk.
Oh, I got a bold take for tonight, though.
Okay.
Randall Cobb will score a touchdown.
Hey.
Sure.
I don't mind that.
No, he might
sounds like another bet.
Plays, but he will score a touchdown. There's my bold take of the week.
Jordan has Jamal Williams that can't do better than Kenyon Drake tonight. And he also has Quintez Cephas, who just needs to poop the bed tonight as well.
What did he have last week? 2 targets, but everybody was talking about him? I'm like,
I don't know, man.
Maybe it was 2 receptions. Either one, it was lower than what.
Yep.
Bringing up a name. Just bringing up
No,
a name.
I appreciate it, Ray. I mean, he is one of the only options there. For a fantasy perspective, deeper leagues, like you said, if he does happen to end up getting that starting role and having more targets, it turns into a Michael Pittman Jr. type thing, right? Where he's just getting peppered with targets, so you got to pick him up. So that is a pretty good deeper call.
Amon St. Brown, he's going to show his as long as Jair's not on him, he'll show his older brother how to play football tonight.
That is fair. But Jair will be on one of those two, so good luck.
No, I don't know which one. I'm guessing King will be on Cephas because of height, and Cephas is really not a fast individual.
That's fair.
And I still shut that man.
That's fair. But
you said Cordell Patterson?
cha-ching, it went up again. Anyways, do you boys got anything else on that?
Nope, that's it.
One time, can I get a Go Pack Go?
Go Pack Go!
There we go. All right, guys. As always, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video on Facebook and Twitter. Help us get our name and brand out there. We are trying to bring you guys championships. And until next time, we will see you later.